Another sick realization of being an adult is like watching professional sports and realizing you're older than them.
Oh,
Have you ever
that's the
thought
worst.
about that?
And we're rolling. Here we go. It's time for another episode of Cash's Top 5. It's going to be a fun one today. We're both industry refugees. We both kind of left our dream job, so to speak. Recently, my friend Kayla Sullivan joining us. Hello.
Hi there. Yes, I used to be a television news reporter, gone PR, so it's been good so far.
I was going to say, have you been enjoying it? Now, you absconded from the Hoosier State. You are now a Sooner, right?
Yes. So I'm actually outside of the Oklahoma State House right now on my lunch break. And you can
Yeah.
hear the nice nature. Before it was construction sound. So I had to move outside for you so you wouldn't have to hear some hammering. But yeah, I'm really enjoying Oklahoma. It's really not that much different from Indiana. And there's more here than I thought there would be.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I mean, geez, you're on your lunch break. So we're going to make this one count for sure. We've got a fun top 5. I think we both had some enjoyment putting our lists together. And you picked this one. This was one you wanted it to do. Kayla, what are we ranking today?
We are ranking the top 5 worst things about being an adult, or adulting as they call it these days.
Yes. Top 5 worst things about being an adult. Now, I think we both might have 20 things on our list, so we got to whittle it down to 5.
I wrote down 16. Yeah, I wrote down 16. So I'm going to try to pick 5, but to be honest, they all are very painful. I wrote down my number 5 for me was the process of buying a house. I was so stressed out, and I actually did it right before the market got really bad. I know it's even worse now, but even then, I bought my house 2 years ago, and the whole process was really confusing. No one ever teaches you how to buy a house or what to do or anything. I just recently sold my house, which was a much easier process in the market that we're having right now.
Yeah.
But just that entire, no one in school teaches you that. Your parents don't really my parents didn't take the time to explain it. So it was just all new for me, very stressful, very complicated, and super adult, but not in the good way. So it's my 5 worst thing.
That's a good one. Buying a house. I haven't had to deal with that yet, although I believe in the next year or so I will be approaching that. As you can see from this lovely apartment that I'm in, I'm still a renter these days. And I kind of go back and forth on it because I'm the guy who's like, you know what? They should have taught us about taxes and credit and buying a car and buying a house. They should have had a class like that in high school. However, when I really think about it, if they did have a proper class like that, would I have paid attention? Would I have found reasons to go out and hang out in the hall like I did in high school? So I don't know, maybe there's something to it that you kind of have to figure it out later. But yeah, when you talk about, so many of my friends and, I left radio, you left television, broadcast journalism. A lot of them go into the realty, sector, of real estate. And, I don't know, like you should have X amount saved up before you buy a house. There's closing costs, there are taxes, there are fees due at this time. It's kind of a moving target of when you can close. It's not really a set thing. It's a nightmare and you really aren't prepared for it. You just have to figure it out, right?
My best advice is finding a realtor you trust. Someone, maybe a family friend, or just someone who knows you're an idiot, because that was how I got by with it.
Yeah.
Both of them were family friends or just someone in the industry that I ended up, he switched from broadcast to realty. And I was like, look, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, you got this, right? Like, I trust you, because otherwise you might get, swindled by your own realtor in some ways. I mean, they're supposed to be for you, but I don't know. I think best advice for me would be someone you trust.
That's good advice.
Right. What was your number 5?
My number 5 is so much more immature than yours. Yours isn't actually an adult pick, but really, when I think about it, it really bums me out. My number 5, holidays aren't as fun anymore, Like, now here's where we might have a little bit of a difference, because when I think about Christmas, when I was a kid, Christmas was the best. You get presents and there's parties at school and, there's lots of family gatherings going on, great food, all the great movies on TV. And now as an adult, you still kind of have some of that stuff, but the magic of Christmas morning kind of goes away. The family, the movies you've seen, like, okay, I guess I'll watch Christmas Vacation again. It's kind of more of a duty at this point, a requirement than it is for any fun. No, the reason I say it might be different for us is you do have a little boy, Alan.
I was gonna say, I feel you when you're like before kids, when you're an adult before kids, holidays are just kind of dreaded in a way. I mean, it seems like a lot of work. Like you sit there, it's just not as fun. But when you have a kid, it changes everything. I mean, I love how special you can make it for them, seeing their face light up. I mean, my son's only 2 years old, and we're already talking about Santa. He randomly will go, ho, 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 like throughout the entire year. Just randomly. And so it's just so fun to see. And that's when the magic kind of comes back. So even if you have like nieces or nephews, or that's the advice I have for people, is just get around kids during the holidays, because the kids will make you love it more.
Yeah, and I get that. I've lots of my friends have little ones, so I get to be kind of Uncle Kash quite a bit. So it is fun to see it through their eyes. But selfishly, I just miss college Halloween, man. Being out till 3 a.m., college bar or a house party, and you're wearing something that you really hope doesn't make it on Facebook 10 years later, having a good time, and it just it loses its luster just a little bit, but the little ones do help. So my number 5 is holidays kind of suck as an adult. Buying a house was a great kickoff. You're so much more of an adult than I am. What do you got at number 4, Kayla?
Oh, I've got some immature ones. My number four is buying toilet paper. It's so expensive. What? That was, to be honest with you. And it doesn't have to just be toilet paper. It can be like any like toiletries or like your shampoo or just things that you never bought when you lived with your parents, but then you moved out for the first time and you're like, oh my gosh, why is Windex so expensive? Why is toilet paper so expensive? And then you look at your grocery bill and you're like, I didn't even get any food. I just got all these stupid things that you need to like keep your house clean. And it's overpriced and stupid, and I don't like it. So I put that as number 4, because basically anything you need to keep your house in order is very expensive.
That is a good point. I was wondering if we were going to have any crossover in our lists, and the fact that you went from buying a house to buying toilet paper, I have no idea where you're going to go with number 3, and I can't wait. We're talking about why adulthood sucks, and you were on the money. My number 4 for you, aches and pains. I know I'm going to sound like a real old man. I'm going to be 33 in October. But sometimes I'll wake up and my knee just hurts and I can't walk right. Like I've got kind of a limp. I'm like, when the hell did that happen? I got a little crick in my neck out of nowhere. I'm like, this is not good. I hopefully have lots of years left. I don't want to spend them like popping Tylenol and gingerly getting into bed. Like that sucks, man.
I had that sort of in one of mine. It's not my number 5, but I had hangovers too in there, because hangovers in college, I mean, I could drink so much and not have a hangover, just have a mild hangover. Now I have one beer. I'm not even exaggerating. One beer and the next morning I have a headache. What? That's a symptom of adulthood that I just was not prepared for. And that just happened too. Like, I don't know. I guess technically you're an adult when you're in college, if you are 18 in college, but still, I feel like adulthood really hits you after college. Like that's what I define as adulthood.
I agree. And it's funny how our perspectives change, because I remember being a freshman in high school and seeing just the seniors, not even people in college, but seniors in high school. And they looked like 30 years old. They looked like adults. And, being in college, you feel more grown up. There's some older people that, maybe there's like a 25-year-old taking classes and they have more experience, whatever. But as a almost 33-year-old now who's teaching in high school, and I look at some of the seniors I have who are 18, I'm like, these are little kids, man. Like, it's so weird. Like, you think you're an adult and you're not. Like, I'm sorry, you're still a kid. You're a child in my eyes. So I get that. Yeah.
Another sick realization of being an adult is like watching professional sports and realizing you're older than them.
Oh,
Have you ever
that's the
thought
worst.
about that?
That's the
Like,
worst.
just being like, wow, those people, I used to always look up to them, and now like I'm older than them. Weird.
And now I'm starting to see sons of players I watched when I was younger. I'm like, his son's playing now? Oh, give me my ARP card now. Okay, so we've got buying a house. We've got, let's say, sundries. Toilet paper really seemed to stick in your craw, but it's all the stuff around the house.
Yeah.
What do you got at number 3?
Mine are stupid. I'm like, I think it's so
That's
funny you were
good.
like so impressed by my first one, but then now it's getting dumber as we progress.
Yes.
Scheduling your own appointments. So
Oh, yeah.
I like, and I hate it. I hate doing it for my kid. I hate doing it for myself, but just calling and like making that initial appointment, or just scheduling your day, like doing those little tasks, like, oh, I have to go to the dentist. It's been 6 months, or, oh, I have to go. And then now I have to call off work, and now I have to do that. Like, it's such a process to get that stuff done. And it's just something that I feel like I didn't really realize was gonna suck so bad about adulthood, because like now it's on me. Like, my mom used to take me to the dentist, and it was just something that she scheduled for me, and it was just like, I
Yeah.
did it because she did it. Now it's like I have the option to like not do it, but I know I have to do it, and I don't know. Just scheduling appointments in general, it's terrible.
Well, it's a big difference for you too, because yeah, some of them can become optional for you, but like for your boy, you have to schedule his stuff for him. He's 2, he can't do it, you know.
Yeah, part of the
It's
reason I
kinda
got
like-
out of news.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't allow for that kind of thing. You don't have any
Right.
time for it, and so this job will actually let me go to appointments and things.
I get it. Yeah, it's kind of like checking the mail. Like, some people have an irrational fear of checking their mail, which is odd. Maybe they're anticipating something bad coming, but it's one of those things. Like, if you just do it, you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. The thought of it, the idea of going to the gym sucks, but once you're there, you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. I shouldn't be so worried about this next time. But appointments are big. That is a big deal. Okay. My number 3 for you. I talked about holidays sucking and turning into a grandpa with aches and pains. My number 3, friendship funerals.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it's kind of I don't know if this is a phrase that I'm coining or if somebody else has done this before, but it's kind of specific in that when you're in high school, you have your high school friends, then you meet some college buddies or whatever. And then beyond that, it's kind of like a sifter, you'll see who kind of stays behind and who falls through the cracks. You have some work friends, from 23 to 27, you're young, you're still going out. You can go out even on a weeknight. So you have those friends. But then you get to your later 20s, early 30s, everybody's kind of got a kid now. Everybody's married. Sometimes you have the friendship funeral when they get married. Oh, Derek married Betty. We don't hear from him anymore. He died. And then there are friends like you stay close with after they get married, but then they have a kid or multiple children. And then you have the friendship funeral. Like, and it's totally understandable. Like, I get it. As the single guy with no kids, it's kind of on me to keep track of and keep tabs of everybody and try to kind of keep the circle tight, as it were. But it still kind of sucks because you just lose those relationships, and people grow and people change. You go to a reunion, you're like, oh, that guy's not the same way I remember him. But the friendship funeral kind of sucks when you're an adult.
Just realizing who your real friends are too as an adult is a big thing. I mean, I'm kind of on the other side of the coin. When I became a mom, my single friends stopped wanting to hang out with me.
Gone.
So it was like,
Gone.
yeah. So, maybe we misinterpreted what each other were wanting, like maybe they thought because I had a kid, I didn't want to hang out anymore or whatever. But either way, that friendship funeral happens, and it's depressing, and it's sad. Like, you don't really know who you are. Like, I remember I had like a breakdown after having a kid because I was like, I don't even know how to dress anymore. I don't even know myself anymore, because you just don't, like, you do change, your whole lifestyle changes. And so Yeah, I definitely think that's a good one, and something that can also be a positive in some ways too, because finding out who your real friends are makes the ones that are still there so much more special to you, and like you
Mhm.
have more time to invest in those friends. Because in college, like I took pride in like having a lot of friends, you know, like everybody is my friend. I'm gonna, you know, do all these different things with all these different people.
Yeah.
But now I'm more centralized to just my friend group, my small friend group, and so I have more time to invest in them, and I just feel like the friendship's overall a better friendship, because I have the time to dedicate to them. So I guess it could be a positive and a negative in that respect.
I completely agree. It's a magnet. You know, it's the positive and the negative. You know, it initially just kind of sucks because it, people, like, you can see it becoming a memory. You know, you realize you're not going to make new memories with some of these people, and that's probably for the best. You know, you grow separately for whatever reason, uh, but just the initial loss kind of is like, oh man, all right, I didn't realize it was going to go that way. But the people that you make a point to keep track of, and make a point to keep track of you, and you genuinely root for each other, and you celebrate successes together and get together whenever you can. And those are the friends you don't have to like apologize to. Like, oh my God, it's been 2 months since you texted me. Like, are you mad at me? It's like, no, we're adults and we're busy and we have families and we have jobs and stuff. Like, relax. You know, I'm still here. We'll check in on you. You can check on me. And that little, it gets a little smaller, but those really are the treasured friends. I think you're right.
Absolutely. Oh man, it's getting harder to pick.
This is top
Are
two
we
now.
headed to number two now? Yeah.
Yeah, this is number two.
So I think my number two is like irrational fears of like dying and getting diseases. So like
Whoa.
so I never did that. I never did that as a kid. Like I felt invincible. Like I felt like, you know, like especially in college, like I didn't have fears about my family dying. I didn't have fears. And maybe this is a COVID related thing. I don't know, but I feel like it's also adult related. But like I just like I didn't really think about anything happening to anyone or happening to me or getting cancer or getting or my kid getting sick, you know, any of those things. But now I'm just worrying all the time. And I think it's a symptom of adulthood because I'm a mom and because I'm like, I have to be here for my kids and I have to take care of my body and I have to do all these things. When I was younger, I just didn't even, it was just not even a concern of mine to have any diseases or and it's funny because like if you google anything it tells you you have cancer you get like
Right.
just immediately like that's where google goes and so I feel like in my older years now I'm becoming like a hypochondriac like
Older
every
years. Everybody
right
older than
well
us hates us right now.
I know
Like, shut
I
up.
know
You're
probably
kids still.
as I get older, I guess I should say,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing that more and more, Googling my symptoms and being like, oh gosh, it could be this. And I don't know. I just, that is definitely a symptom of adulthood that I wasn't prepared for. And I feel like is a number two worthy complaint.
Yeah,
You're, you're dying.
your list is full of left turns, man. I have no idea where you're going. I love it because I kind of know what you're talking about. I don't have the phobia of, you know, I guess mortality kind of in a more broad sense, like, oh my God, I'm going to die someday. I don't necessarily worry about disease or something happening or whatever. But the phobias that I do have or have had throughout my life have gotten worse as I've gotten older. So I have a really bad fear of heights. Like, it's bad, bad. And so, like, I watched the movie Black Widow recently, and there's a scene where they're kind of in a free fall from a tower in the sky. They're free falling without parachutes, and I'm like, ah! Like, that freaked me out. It triggered my phobia of falling from really high up. Um, and I used to have very, very minor claustrophobia. It barely registered, but every once in a while I would feel just a little like, oh, I got to get out of here, but not often. And now I'm becoming more and more claustrophobic. I'm not really in those situations a lot, but if I were like packed in the back of I think Nate Bargatze has a bit about it in his most recent Netflix special. Like, if you're in the back of a van in the middle seat, it's like, okay, I'm going to need everybody to get out right now. Like, I'm feeling a little trapped. I, for whatever reason, am getting that from time to time. It's still not a lot, but it's more than before. So I think there's something to your point about phobias becoming a thing the older you get, which sucks.
So what was yours?
My number two, again, I had holidays, aches and pains, friendship funerals. My number two is a little more generic, and you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but bills. Bills as an adult suck. You know, remember your first job? Do you remember you were 16, part-time? What was your first job that you had?
I worked at a prom dress store.
You worked at a prom dress store, and you probably made what, like $8 an hour?
Minimum.
Minimum wage, whatever it was. So my first job, I was 16, working at Kmart, same thing, retail, you know, working the jewelry counter, working out in the garden shop. And that first paycheck came for like $120, and you felt you were on top of the world. You can't tell me anything. I don't pay for my phone. I pay for my car. I pay for my gas. But you, like, $100 was huge. And I just watch my bank account on payday and like the first of the month. You know, if you get paid on the 30th and then the first is when all the bills are due and you have all this money, and then it's gone. Yeah, huge payments out of nowhere. Like, you can just drop 400 on new tires. Oh, I got to have it. You know, I got to do it. Never was a problem when you're younger, but bills are the worst.
They rack up. And then once you turn 26 and you're on your own insurance, that starts getting taken out of your paycheck. And then you start to see like taxes, and you just see everything just draining and draining. It's depressing, that's for sure. And then you have a kid on top of it, and you're like, how does anyone run a household? Like, that was the first thing I told my parents, was like, how did you guys do it? How did you do it? Like, I don't understand, because it really does blow your mind that people even can make ends meet with all of those. And then, like you said, you know, sometimes you just need new tires, or you need something like that, and it's like, where do I get this money? So I don't know. It's definitely a stressor, and something that you don't really think about as a kid. Also, you know, like paying for vacations too. Like, if you do have that extra, you know, money or whatever, like, vacations are on you now. When you were a kid, like, your parents paid for all that. Like,
you just went with,
that's another, even if you have the money to spend, like, you have to spend it yourself if you're going on vacation, unless your parents are still being nice enough to pay for your vacations. But
right,
not a lot of people are in that position. So yeah, I definitely, paying for vacations, paying bills, paying insurance, all that stuff. Adult, yeah.
I can't wait for your boy to be in like third or fourth grade, and he starts to complain about something. You're like, all right, let's get you a job as soon as we possibly can. You're getting a job.
I'll send him to this podcast.
Yeah.
This is what you have to look forward to.
Yes. This should be in the college prep, the PCC classes at high schools, like preparing for adulthood. This is what you need to know about. Okay. We've reached the pinnacle. Buying a house, buying toilet paper, appointments, calling the doc and setting up your own, phobias, thinking you might die, getting diseases and not being there for your family. These are all terrible things about adulthood. There's not really a link other than adulthood between them. Kayla Sullivan, number one, what do you got?
Having expectations that you don't meet. So,
whoa.
Here's the thing. So, as a kid, you're always like pushing things toward adulthood, right? So, like, as a little girl, especially, like, I was like, okay, I'm going to be married by 25, have 3 children by 27, have, you know, like, and that is like what I told myself. And then you get to that age and you're like, I'm not anywhere I thought I would be. And like, you have to like retrain your brain to like be like, live in the moment, and this is the way life was supposed to be, and you'll get your time. And I mean, coming from a person who literally is not married, who has a 2-year-old, who moved across the state, who's changed careers, who's my life is insane. If you would have told me that my life would have been any of this when I was 15, I would have been like, you're insane. That did not happen. But and that's kind of my biggest thing about adulthood, is like, nothing is going to go as planned. Like, nothing will. And that is like the hardest thing to grasp for me. I'm still grasping it, but I would not change a thing. Like, I'm loving the way that life has ended up coming for me, and the person that it's changing me into, but it's always surprising me. And it is a hurdle that I always have to convince myself is going to be okay. It doesn't have to be the way you expected it. Sometimes it turns out even better than you expected. So yeah, but that is definitely something that's probably the hardest that hit me about adulthood.
Man, that bordered on therapy session right there. Like the things we have to deal with, like, oh God, the inner dread of not meeting your own expectations. And
Yeah.
do I matter? Have I accomplished enough? Like, that's a scary thought. I don't want to do it. So we've done it again where you have a really deep one and mine's not that deep. I had holidays, aches and pains, friendship funerals, bills were 5 through 2. My number one worst thing about being an adult, you kind of said it earlier, but for me, it's the worst. The 2-day hangover is my number one worst thing about being an adult. It's not even the fact that they're so bad, because they are bad, but if I go out on a Friday night and I still feel like crap Sunday afternoon, I'm pissed. I don't like it.
Absolutely. No, and I mean, I have one beer and I'm hungover, so I don't I don't know
So
the cure. I really don't, but it is one of the worst things, and it hits you by surprise. Just one day, all of a sudden you're like, I'm old. I can't do this anymore. My
I
time has
do
come.
I do feel lucky though. I don't have that, where if I have just one drink, I feel it. I still kind of have to go kind of hard to get the hangover, but once it happens though, it's game over. Uh, we had some great lists. We had no crossover, right? Other than maybe a little bit here or there. That's hilarious. What ones didn't quite make your list, but definitely suck about adulthood?
All right, all right, all right. Okay, getting sick um, without your mom there to like help you. That's one that's huge for me, especially if I'm sick and my kid is sick. That's happened to me a couple
Oh,
times where like
yeah.
I'm literally like, I can't take care of you. I need someone to take care of me. And like it's awful. Don't recommend. 10 out of 10, don't recommend. Um, Another one, I put taxes down, but we kind of touched on that a little bit. Like doing your taxes, like still have to have help on that. I don't know why I'm an idiot. Yard work, just in general, yard work is horrible. Putting on fitted sheets, hate it. Hate it. I never can do it right. I'm terrible
Yeah.
at it. I can't fold them either. Don't ask me to fold fitted sheets. I can't do it.
No.
Paying adult prices for things. Like I
Oh, yeah.
remember for the longest time, we would have me pass as a kid at Ponderosa. Did you ever go to Ponderosa as a kid?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
My dad, I was like 17 years old, like putting my hair in pigtails so I could pass as a kid at Ponderosa. So paying adult prices, it's terrible. Insurance, I kind of mentioned having
Yep.
to get insurance when you're 26. Not being able to eat kid stuff anymore, like candy, like, you know, just in excess, like just tons of candy or whatever. I get a stomach ache now. I used to be able to eat, you know, so many cones of ice cream or whatever. Now I can't do that.
Right.
Also gain weight, but it's like more than that. It's just like you don't feel good afterward. But as a kid, I could do that and I feel fine. Um, and oh, this one's deep. I got some deep. I don't know why I went all deep, but this is the last one. Guilt and comparison. So, like, I compare myself to others. I never did that as a kid. Ever
Oh,
did that as a
wow.
kid. And then feeling guilty, like just feeling guilty. Like mom guilt is huge. Like just feeling like you're not doing a good job. Like I didn't care that much when I was younger. Like I just always felt like I was fine, you know, like whatever. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, am I living up to expectations? But also comparing myself to others. I think social media is big on that. Like
Yeah.
it kind of makes you like feel like maybe I'm not rocking it like I thought or whatever. So that's kind of a symptom of adulthood, but it may, because of social media, be happening at younger ages too. But I was lucky enough to not have social media when I was younger.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think we were the first generation, because we're close enough in age. Like, we both had a MySpace, I'm sure. That was kind of the advent of it. And before that, there was no social media. There was no comparison happened in the classroom. You know, you could see your new outfit on the first day of school, but that was kind of it. You know, there was nothing. There was just no photoshopping your pictures, or, you know, touching up bikini shots or any of that crap. I mean, that didn't exist. I had a couple honorable mentions. Those are good. Metabolism for sure. You kind of touched on it with the eating whatever you want. Can't really do that anymore. You got to make healthier decisions, and that kind of sucks. And another big one, prison doesn't sound great. When you're a kid, I guess there's juvie. I never went to juvie, but as an adult, not everybody experiences it, but that would suck, right? Being tried as an adult.
You wrote down prison. I didn't even think about prison. Yeah, the fact that that's a possibility if you were to break the law.
Yeah,
that's not fun.
No good. Kayla, thank you very much for taking the time on your lunch break there in Okie Country. Can people follow you? Can they find you? I know you're kind of unplugged from the journalism world, but I know you're still active on social and doing fun stuff. So where can people find you? Where can they see your stuff?
Yeah, so I'm still Kayla reporting on Twitter, and Kayla Marie Solly on Instagram, Kayla Marie Sullivan on Facebook, because I decided to add my middle name for some weird reason. I don't think it's unique. Don't worry. I know Marie is not unique, but I added it. So yeah, you can follow me on all social media. I love it.
Right on. Well, thank you, dear. Go enjoy the rest of whatever you have left of lunch, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks so much for having me. You have a great day.